Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Genuine Chit-Chat. This week I'm talking to my buddy Justina. She's from Poland and has been living over in the UK for over a year now, and I thought I'd have a chat with her just to kind of find out some of the differences between England and Poland, as well as just her opinions on a few things. This is another one of those podcasts where I didn't have a specific plan. I just kind of winged it in a sense. We just kind of sat down and had a chat for a couple of hours. This is part one. As you hear by the end, we did actually stop at the end of this to use the lavatory and grab another drink and stuff, and then we continued, which the part two will be next week. I do apologise because at the start of this I actually sound quite, I don't know, I don't sound like I'm putting much effort in, and it happens, I start talking a bit more sound a bit more energetic as it goes through, but I think I was just absolutely knackered. I mean, I recorded it a couple of weeks ago, or a week or so ago. I'm pretty tired now, to be honest, so I'm not doing that well with just turning on the mic when I'm tired. But yeah, I do, at the start I sound a little bit off for some reason. I don't want anyone thinking that's anything to do with Justina or anything like that at all. I didn't even realise it was happening during the chat, so I just, sorry about that. We also, funnily enough, the episode I released last week was with Josh, the Science But Simple, and we talk about misconceptions with cancer, GMOs, and Big Pharma. And the strangest thing is that Justina doesn't listen to the podcast, and I didn't mention to the podcast I released the week before. I think I might mention it in the podcast when she brings it up, but she just coincidentally brings up Big Pharma and GMOs, and I just think it's quite weird that I was planning on sort of releasing this episode this week, and the last week's one was also about something similar, and it's just quite a lot of strange coincidences. I think it's the Illuminati, to be honest. I think they're the puppet masters controlling everyone I know and just making it into this nice little echo chamber. But anyway, I am joking, just for people with your conspiracy hats on. Yeah, so in this chat we talk about, a wide variety of things, NHS, medicine, the police, drug reform, cannabis, CBD oil, speaking English abroad and other languages. I speak of Iceland a little bit because I went on holiday there a few weeks back. We talk about multiculturalism, being patriotic, the government. We also talk about Obama towards the end and drone strikes, and it's great. It's a real fun chat. It's cool listening to someone talk about Poland. I mean, we don't, in this podcast specifically, this episode, we don't talk about, the whole thing isn't all just about Poland. We have just a general chat, and I ask her a few things about Poland as well, and it kind of, the conversation kind of goes off on tangents from there. But yeah, I think it's another great chat. It's quite a nice, easy, chill one. It's not one which, like the last couple, where it's been quite a lot of information based. This is just a couple of people having a laugh. So it's good. Yeah, it's another fun one. And also, just to add, I did a YouTube collaboration with a friend of mine, Steph. People who are common listeners may remember Steph because a few weeks back I released a 2-part podcast with her called Steph. She's called Steph the Crab on YouTube, and I'm going to include a link to that in the descriptions and whatnot. We just did this Would You Rather sort of videos, silly and stupid questions and stuff, but it was a laugh to do. So yeah, if you liked that episode, go check that out, and if you for some reason want to hear even more of me talking and hear more of my random views on silly things, some of the questions were quite peculiar. Things like, would you rather have to have sex with your parents or have to see your parents have sex every day? It's things like that. It's weird. Some of them aren't too weird, some of them are a bit more normal, but one's would you rather wipe your ass with sandpaper or every time you touch paper you get a paper cut? Things like that. It's very peculiar questions. She found quite a lot of them online. I had one in my own head that I included as well, that we mentioned, and it's a longish video, but you don't necessarily need to watch the video. If you like podcasts and stuff, you can just chuck the video on and listen to it. So yeah, I'll chuck that in the description. As always, guys, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and on all the different podcasting apps. You can listen to us on YouTube, iTunes, Overcast, Podbean, Stitcher, any of those sort of things. Thanks as always for listening, and I'll be back at the end to talk a bit more information, so I can just kind of let this episode get going, because it's almost 5 minutes of me talking about nothing. But just before the show gets fully started, there's a quick promo from the movie podcast And the Losers Are. So I've included a bit of description to them in the podcast description as well. So be sure to check those guys out. And I'll get on with the show momentarily.
And the Losers Are is a podcast about cinema.
Yeah, they're called movies because, this is America.
And because we invented them.
In each episode, 3 friends discuss the Academy's Best Picture nominees, as well as 5 other important films from that year.
Friends, huh? It's more like acquaintances that I really don't even like.
I'm just here for the booze.
Talking of poor life choices, each episode explores a different year, accompanied by adult libations and hearty banter.
What he means is we get hammered, we say fuck a lot, we discuss movies, and talk about our lives.
Like the one time I shit myself on a roller coaster.
Well, I guess the honeymoon's over. Where do we go from here?
Visit andthelosersare.wordpress.com and listen on your favourite platform today.
Welcome to Genuine Chit-Chat, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. And I'm your host, Mike Burton. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Genuine Chit-Chat. I'm here with my friend Justina. And were you about to wave then? You move your hand out your pocket to almost a wave.
Kind of. That's my go-to move. I wave to people.
That's it. That's how you greet people. Yep. Yeah. Me and Justina, we haven't planned a huge amount of what we're going to talk about. I was just going to ask her a few things about herself because she's Polish. So let's find out. Let's find out a few things. If I ask any questions that you don't want to answer, feel free to not answer them. It's they're not going to be that. I imagine
I'll try my best.
I don't think they're going to be ridiculously personal or anything like that. How long ago did you come to Britain, like, to live?
A year ago.
Yeah, because it was
there was
February,
a year in
wasn't
February. Yeah.
You had that party.
Well, obviously,
I didn't go
if
to.
there's any reason to have a party, your 1-year anniversary in a country is probably a good excuse.
Yeah. So what made you sort of come over here? Have you been to Britain prior to that on like holidays or anything like that?
Yeah, I was here twice, but it was only like for a weekend, 1 or 2 nights.
Okay.
But I moved here basically to get money, to send some money back home. And I was supposed to stay here for like 6 months.
Yeah.
But I sort of stayed longer, and I'm probably not going to move out anytime soon.
Because you met all us cool people.
Exactly. Yeah, I have nice housemates.
You have a house with, is it 5 people?
Well, yeah, there's 6 of us all together. It's pretty hectic sometimes, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's always very. You can always feel there's sort of life there in a way, but like it does tend to get messy. Like I just found with 2 dudes, it's like 3 of us. It's just like if you don't keep an eye on the cleaning and shit, it just ends up.
Yeah, the cleaning in my house is pretty ridiculous because nobody does anything.
Except you. You did the bathroom the other day.
Yeah, I'm pulling my weight. I cannot have a dirty bathroom. That's a bit too much. And that bathroom, even when it's clean, it's not really clean.
Yeah, you get certain rooms like our bathroom. The ceiling just gets mold really easily if you don't like spray a mold spray. Like it just after like 2 months just gets moldy again. So because it's not proper tiling or anything like that. The paint is just normal paint. It's like peeling off. And it's not like proper.
I hate that.
Nice
I have that in my room on the ceiling. The paint of the ceiling is peeling off.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been planning for the past 6 months to repaint it. And I obviously still haven't gotten myself up to it. But it's good. My landlords gave me paints and they're candy pink. So that's tragic and I cannot use them.
So it's like, I was actually, I was listening to a podcast today, I think, actually. And it was a Joe Rogan one with a guy called Andrew Santino. And they were talking about like old school like bathrooms, like the horrible paint colours of like a real sort of unflattering pink and then a green. Like you'd always get like green and pink bathrooms. And if you get in like really old places, they always have that shit. Like old hotels. It's awful. It's awful. It's like
like in hospital it's usually this like just matte white and then from half the wall downwards this weird kind of bluish green color.
Yeah.
And shiny. I don't know why.
It's like teal almost. It
was horrible. And they were doing it for years. Like every single hospital was looking like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's weird how fashion changes with colour schemes, that sort of thing, and sort of like uniforms and stuff. Like the police uniforms obviously changed, and over the years they obviously, because they wear neon vests a lot more and that sort of things, that's like kind of the what they have to wear for protocol is become part of their uniform in a lot of ways. Like certain like community police officers, like the community outreach officers and things like that, like certain ones, their colours they're wearing have changed over the few years. Because they wear a lot of black now, where it used to be a lot of blue.
I
used to have the
don't
hats
really
all the
know
time,
what
that's thing.
police used to wear in Britain.
That's because you're
I'm here only since a year ago.
Yeah. What do your police wear, like other colours and stuff, like specific colours, or they just wear like black or?
No, they're like kind of blue and grey, sort of thing.
That's what our police sort of are like. What are the police in Poland? What are they like? Are they like very strict, like compared to here, like with like driving?
Oh
with,
yeah,
like,
definitely.
Parties, with,
Even when you walk around here, we walk through park or something, you can smell people smoking everywhere. In Poland, that wouldn't pass. In Poland, policemen or city guard would notice somebody smoking, and you're instantly landing on the police station.
Really?
Yeah, no matter what.
So it used to be like over here, and then the police get more and more money cut from them, and then they can't afford to go after certain crimes as much, and that's why like noise
in
complaints.
Poland, it's sort of different, because I'm not sure which one of those it was, but either city guard or police at some point got regulation that you can get a bonus if you had a certain amount of crimes discovered.
Yeah.
So they just fine you for everything.
Yeah, that's what happens to a degree in America. There's certain teams that have to get a certain amount of arrests as targets for a month.
Yeah, exactly. That's ridiculous.
To continue to get funding, and it's like that isn't how the law should be run. It should be how many the target shouldn't be how many people you arrest. It should be how has unemployment been affected? What is the community, if you poll people and talk to people, what is their opinion of the police? How is the community dealing with unemployment and crime? What is the statistics on drug users that you found? So you have to use all this information to figure out if the police's involvement with community is making a positive or negative impact. Not just, we've arrested this many people. It's like, but if you're arresting more and more people, that means that you're basically saying, yeah, you're catching more criminals, but they're not stopping any more people doing it.
People are being put to prison for petty crimes. That's absolutely ridiculous, because prison system is not working in any proper way. It's supposed to sort of fix you up, and you at the end of your sentence you get back a good citizen. But it does the exact opposite thing. And stuff like community service or even house arrest are much more effective.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we rather spend way more money on keeping people in prison, even if they don't really deserve to be there.
Yeah. I mean, one of the big ones that does come up is, I've spoken about it in the podcast before, is things like cannabis. I mean, there's a wider discussion about sort of drug reform, which is like the potential of having all drugs illegal in some way or decriminalised, and that's like a whole other conversation that I'll get into another time. But like, with just on the basis of cannabis, is like every study that's ever come out says it's less dangerous than alcohol, and there are medicinal benefits as well. And it's like, well, if you have alcohol, then by default, if you know that it's not as bad, then you should just put in the right precautions to prevent people smoking and driving. And if you can do what they've done in America, where the states where they start selling it, then it helps it medicinally. They can do more studies on it to find out more specific things. They can use the money from that to help people if they've are in issues, or funding getting people off like education and telling them not to smoke and drive and all sorts of other things. And it's like all these ways of doing things with the money could be so beneficial. The NHS service, you could get a portion of the money you make from medicinal marijuana and stuff. If they buy it, it can go through the NHS to a degree. Like you can get certain prescriptions, but you can also you wouldn't have to only go for the NHS, and some of the money made from selling recreational marijuana could go towards the NHS as well to help pay for the prescriptions of people who need it medicinally. It could all work in some sort of great system in a way that a lot of the places it does in America. and they're just like, oh no,
But
you
to be
smoke
fair, I
it.
think we're going in the right direction with
It's
that,
slowly happening.
because
CBD oil in
CBD
Holland and
oil
Barrett.
you can buy. You can.
I bought some the other day.
bought that in Holland and Barnet, so it's a step in the right direction because it doesn't have the THC in it, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
get you high in any way. It's purely medicinal, and it helps with a lot of stuff. Like it
I bought
helps
some
with
last week.
Alzheimer's, it helps with
Insomnia.
Parkinson, insomnia.
That's what I've
And
wanted to
recent studies also suggest that it might help not to relapse if you're an alcoholic or a drug user.
Yeah, it's
So
very good for the
that's
psyche.
ridiculous. Like, it's considered to be a drug, but I think they've only done the research on rats at the moment or something like that, that rats addicted to, I think, like cocaine or something like that were less likely to use it later on if they had some CBD oil on them.
Yeah. The it's been shown to do a lot of stuff, and I've my friend Carla, she's on the podcast. She speaks about CBD oil and how it helps with Crohn's disease, which is an immune disease, and obviously issues with your immune system, and a lot of it comes from digestion in your stomach, I think. But yeah, listen to that if you haven't. And the thing with it, there's also, it helps a lot of mental illnesses like depression, anxiety. Obviously, insomnia is one. It can help people feel less paranoid. It can help with addictions, as you said, as well as there's a lot of physical benefits. It's like a supplement in some ways. It's good. Absorbing the oil from that is good for a lot of parts of your system.
Yeah, of course, but of course you have to be careful. I know a lot of people, if they smoke too much, they just get really paranoid and really scared. Like,
Yeah,
you have to look out.
it can affect some people in certain ways, but the trick is they say to use, like, you get in a little droppy thing, you squeeze the top, and it's a glass like tube, and you let go, and it comes up the glass tube, and you can drop little droplets. You put them under your tongue.
Yeah.
And it says I do 2 or 3. I'll just do 2 in the morning and 2 before I go to bed. And you feel it a little bit. It's like it's almost like microdosing cannabis in a way, where it's ridiculously small. Just really, you just feel a little bit less tired, and you just feel a little bit more chill. Just like a little bit. It's incremental. It's almost like kind of waking up on the right side of the bed. Like after you've got out of bed and you go to work, you're like, I'm actually alright. It feels like you're more alright more mornings than feeling like ugh, or feeling like actually like shit. And it seems to just a little bit. But it's also, you could argue it's I'm not claiming this is going to cure anyone's depression, but it's like it could be a degree of psychosomatic, like I'm thinking, and a placebo effect. I'm thinking it can work,
Yeah, and
therefore
that's
it does.
the exact reason why we need it to be legalized, at least the medical side of it. So we can, simply because we need to research it, because it's so many promises.
Yeah.
Let's just explore that, because it might be really fucking useful.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, and it's it's an intriguing thing that hopefully society are going to go into, which is with CBD oil, Holland and Barrett, Waitrose. They now sell cannabis water. It's got a small amount of THC oil in it. Yeah.
No idea.
So that came up at the same sort of time as the Holland and Barrett CBD oil.
A TV show, sort of like a MasterChef competition, but they were cooking with cannabis products.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Oh, wow.
everything the most important thing in every single dish was like cannabis product. It's like cannabis butter, like oils and stuff like that.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Yeah, it's a cultural shift, isn't it? It's where it's coming from. It's a lot of pressure. A lot of people now are either like, yeah, I don't really care, and loads of people are now like, no, we need this to be legalized. We need the medicinal benefits that this brings. Stop putting it off. We need you to look into it, do more research, and there are a lot more antidepressants and stuff that are on sale that you get, well, not on sale, but you can get as prescriptions from NHS, and I think you can buy a lot online. And there are some antidepressants which they do get tested in some ways. Like there's an episode of the podcast that's being released tomorrow, so it'll be out when this comes out. But it's we talk about like big pharma releasing stuff, and it goes for like a rigorous system, and it takes a very long time for drugs to be legalized, pharmaceuticals. But the thing is with certain antidepressants is there's been studies into it, but there's a lot that don't work in the right way. Like there's one that came out the other day, it's like Trancadol or something like that, and it's I can't remember if it's a sleeping tablet or something like that, but it's basically been shown that it does more risk than it does. It's more risky and it does more harm than it does good, and it's like killed more people than I think heroin and cocaine, if I'm right, or something like that in a year. It's
Jesus.
ridiculous. It's something along those lines, and it's just like what? And it's just like a big deal, and it's like that got through, and it's like, well, you're giving that thing a chance. You should, and obviously we should not have that sort of thing on the market. So this alternative medicine, the things that we're using at the moment aren't helping people get over mental illnesses. You don't need something to like cover things up. You need something to help them look inward and find that from themselves and be able to function with the world, not just cover them with a
But
numbness.
you must be aware of this old theory that the big pharmaceutical companies don't actually want you to be cured. They want you to feel slightly bit better, but have to continue taking the drugs, not actually be 100% cured, because then you don't have to buy drugs and give them money.
Yeah,
I'm obviously not saying that's true because I don't really know, but
yeah, but that's
the
an idea
theory is
that
there.
people have. Yeah, well, that's and we talk about this a little bit in the other podcast, I said, but it's like I think there isn't necessarily. There is and there isn't. This sort of thing is that there are scientists that want to cure cancer, that want to be or like try and cure certain parts of cancer, because you can't cancer cure just all in one go. There's all of it that works sort of differently. But when scientists want to work and try and cure stuff, they are working, and there are people trying to do these things. But the problem is that the amount of funding that certain ones get may not be as much. Like, or if they may get the right ones, like, oh, you've got the cure for cancer, okay. Oh, well, it costs thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to make one pill, and you'd have to take that pill every week to suppress cancer, how we understand at the moment. Or we'd have to manufacture a pill that's worth £3, £5, and they take once a day, and that wouldn't actually cure it, but it would nullify the effects until we had something better. Now, I'm not saying Big Pharma are all looking out for the little people all the time, and I'm not saying they even are necessarily, but there is that part of it of also all the ins and outs of the complicated system there is, especially because the NHS is a public, companies for the people. It's a service. It's like it does want to help people, but it does need to make
but
money
the
in some ways as well.
NHS is not the one producing the drugs.
No, it's other companies, and it's how
private
other companies.
So it's different because I don't necessarily believe that there are a lot of companies out there who actually care about people when it comes to like the big bosses.
Yeah. It's probably the
Like-
little people who are like the scientists themselves care, but their boss doesn't.
Exactly. It's like what this few years back there was this HIV medicine.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Shkeri or something like that.
He bought loads, and he made it like unfathomably expensive.
He was the new CEO of a company, and he skyrocketed the price of it
Yeah.
just because he can, literally just because he can.
Yes, he's just it's a disgusting human being. I think we spoke about that as well. It's just like it's horrendous. I think it just pisses me off so much. But fortunately, there were loads of other companies did come up and then undercut. They managed to get a patent or something, or they got the research or something complicated, and other places now have made that stuff a lot cheaper. And the problem is that a lot of companies do still need to make money to continue being able to make the drug and research and things like that. Like, obviously producing a drug takes a lot of time, a lot of money. You have to do years and years and years of studying on rats and that sort of stuff, as we've discussed. So it is a case of like there's so much to go into and think about, like how much of it has to be ticked before the public actually get to it. And the problem is with things like CBD, maybe there haven't been as many specifics. There have been quite a few studies on like medicinal cannabis, and also obviously CBD, which hasn't got the THC in it, or has barely got any, and you don't get anything from it in that way. It's like there's been a bit of studies to it throughout the years, but the amount of study that's gone on to study sleeping pills like Valium and stuff like that, or maybe certain other things, is probably a lot higher, because there's a lot of anecdotal evidence towards things like marijuana. And that doesn't necessarily take away from it. It's like everyone says if they... some people smoke weed and they think they're paranoid, which agrees with a lot of what the mainstream media say, but a lot of people are like, oh, it chills me out and it's good in that way, or oh, it helps me sleep, or people who take CBD oil and things like that. It's like there's never there was a few little studies kind of popped up with CBD oil that then got spread over through social media and stuff. And a lot of people always, there's a lot of Facebook groups, there's a lot of podcasts that always talk about the benefits of it, and there's a lot of things like that, and a lot of TV interviews, and it's just becoming slowly more and more public knowledge, and now it's coming into the mainstream. And I think with a lot of the things like medicinal marijuana and eventually the drug reform, they're just being talked about anecdotally a lot of the time, and it's almost like not mainstream, it's the underground talking about it in a sense, the alternative media in a way, and they're all talking about it a lot, and then eventually it kind of makes its way into the mainstream news, and then it becomes a cultural shift towards how people feel about it. Because people 30 years ago used to be really against weed and everything about it, and now you get all these celebrities. You have celebrities coming out doing it. You have the President of the United States saying he smoked weed in college. It's like, what? So you're literally putting people away and locking them up for life for smoking weed in college when you did it. You're the President of America. What are you saying then? What, that you should have been locked up?
Well, no, now it's legal. So now
Oh yeah,
it's all good. Now we can admit it.
yeah. But it was like
that
in the Obama years, it wasn't, and I liked Obama a lot. But there were certain things. It's just a bit like, you can't say that you
To be
smoke weed
fair,
and put people in prison for
sort
smoking
of
weed.
liked him, but he did a lot of shady deals.
Yeah,
A lot of really shady deals.
yeah, that is the problem. I wonder if it was that he either did these bad things and that was the intention, or that when you're in that position you have to owe a lot of people a lot of money and a lot of favours to get them to vote for you in Congress, to get you to the point where the public can vote for you. And the problem is when you do that, you make promises to people that you'll keep like this, and then the intricate complexities of like foreign policy. Like, I don't agree with the drone strikes. However, I don't know what the alternative answer would be because I'm not smart enough to know these sorts of things. But it's like, I don't think drone striking people is a good thing to do. But what would I suggest if you knew there was an ISIS stronghold and you knew there were 100 ISIS members? And I'm not saying the casualties are necessarily worth it, but like, if you could do that and you could prevent them doing a certain attack that you knew was going to happen, you'd save people's lives. It's like, well, then the line gets really hazy, and I don't know what to think about that because I don't know enough about it. And with things like when Obama was in power, that's one of the things he did quite a lot of, like drone striking.
I wasn't even thinking about war stuff. I was mostly thinking some of the deals he made with massive companies about like GMO food and stuff.
Right.
That's ridiculous. And one of them, basically, I believe that GMO can be really good. But the way it's produced at the moment with, like, for example, Monsanto with the kind of the GM crops, so they kind of can survive the the plant killer thingy.
Pesticides. And
Yeah, the pesticide gel that they produce. But that also means that everything else on fields is dying, so it's actually making really a lot of bad to the environment.
Yeah, it's bad for the soil and the sort of surrounding areas. It's not good for a lot of the other things they want to grow there.
It's not really healthy either.
Yeah, I think it's said that the cornfields, a lot of the time when they grow there, it takes quite a long time after if you take all the corn out and then leave the empty field, if you want to grow something again, you take quite a long time, quite a few years. So what I've heard.
Yeah, and also the Monsanto corn, it's sort of protected, so if the farmer doesn't have a deal with Monsanto, he cannot use their corn at all.
Yeah.
And if for some reason he's going to find himself in possession of it, Monsanto can sue them, which means that if you have a small independent farmer next to a Monsanto farmer and some of the seeds get blown to his field, he can get sued for that.
I see.
And they do that, and they use that to shut smaller farmers down.
So GMOs aren't. We're not saying that GMOs are the issue because GMOs are generally good. It's actually
But that's the thing.
It's the
GMOs
big businesses
are going to be whatever we make them to be.
Yeah, and it's the big businesses that are
can
the
be
issue,
good.
where they have to be responsible both to creating the consumer product or editing the consumer product, but also to the environment and local business. Is that you have to work with the community and create a better world as a whole, not just like, let's hoard money and do everything the cheapest ways we can. That's what's got to be like. And yeah, it's out of interest. Let's go back to Poland. What politically over there? Like, is there much? To your knowledge, like over here, what the political system's like different? Like over here to Poland, is it quite similar? Is it?
Well, we don't have the queen.
Oh yeah, we don't have a monarchy, but the monarchy is less political. It's weird.
No, it's pretty traditional. The president, prime minister, and 2 cabinets.
Do you have a president and a prime minister?
Yeah.
Is the president the most powerful?
Not really. No.
Right.
The president have a say of veto. So if he doesn't agree with some new act they want to legislate, it can just say like, nope, go away.
Yeah, that's what our queen has.
And it goes back to kind of a project board.
Yeah, our queen goes back to our dogs and stuff, and then
Yeah.
and the swans.
Fair enough. And the TV. What else that she likes?
Walking around frowning.
EastEnders.
Walking around frowning and waving at people. What's up? Hello
and being
there.
compared to a lizard.
It's like, why am I not dead yet? Why do I have to keep doing this still? I want to live in my gold ass palace and do what the fuck I want.
Yeah, but in general, like Polish presidents don't usually use the veto. It's mostly a like diplomatic position.
So what do the presidents actually do for the country?
Well, that's the thing. They're technically the leaders of a country, sort of like the queen. They have certain powers. They're way more active in government, and it tends to be that if the president is suggesting to go a certain way, the party that he was selected from would go a certain way.
Right.
So, but the prime minister, when it comes to like day-to-day politics and day-to-day legislature, would be slightly more involved.
Right.
While the president is out traveling and connecting with other presidents.
Right. So there's a difference between like the world leader and the runner of the government almost.
Sort
So it's
of,
like a HR
I
guy. It's like a leading HR guy who goes out and gets new businesses for clients, and there's like the operations manager who's like controlling the
I
rest
think
of
it
it.
sort of works more or less similar to other European countries.
I don't know how many other European countries work that well. I know about France's voting system. That's about it.
I don't know. I don't know it.
Oh, it's basically just obviously in Britain everyone votes and that's that. You know, out of all the parties, you just vote and whoever gets the most wins its representative seats. What it is in France is that you have a huge amount of parties and then you can vote for any of them, and then the two that win, the two that get the most out of that, go on to the next round, and then everyone votes on just the two. So what it means is independent parties have the opportunity to be brought in and brought forward that wouldn't necessarily come in. And also what happened was, I think there was 3 main parties that were going forward, and the most right-wing one was first out of all of them. It was like it got a majority out of all of the parties, and then it was, I think, the more left one, and there was another one. And then in the next round, because all the other people who voted for all the other parties had to vote for between the two, the right-wing person and the more left-wing, most of them voted left-wing, so the left-wing person actually came in. And that's what I feel like it would almost been like with the election just passed with Jeremy Corbyn and stuff like that in Britain. It's so loads of people, like if it was in Southampton, if we got 32 more votes for Conservative than Labour, and then that meant 1 extra seat from Southampton, that would mean that it would have unbalanced the amount if the Conservative would have had, and then it would have made it even. Much more even, and then you'd have had to had a new vote or something like
To
that.
be fair, I think the weirdest one is American voting system, because during the presidential campaign, they kind of divide the country into certain circles, and then one circle is sort of like one vote.
Yeah.
So that's why it's when they make them, when they create the partitions, it's really important for the parties, because sometimes if you include one city into a region, it will give you enough votes, so you're more likely to get the vote.
Yeah.
So they really try to manipulate them in their favors, and it's slightly ridiculous because you still have to count all those votes. So just pick the one out of the entire nation who one
Yeah,
more vote.
one of the it's a real tough thing with government because I mean I think the French voting system is the best one for representative. The thing is, with American and British, the problem is having one guy run the whole of America is just. America's got so many people in it. It's like having one dude to control all that. Even though obviously there is the other parts of government which do have a say in that. It's like one guy can't be representative of all of them. You can't have 50 states which are basically 50 countries that all have slightly different cultures and slightly different way of life and different ideologies. Like Texas are more about their gun ownership, but then more leftist states are more about this and that. And it's like gay marriage was more of a place here. There's marijuana, recreational and medicinal is in certain places here, and they're all like slightly different. But having one person trying to rule them all is just like really weird. It's like, how can one person be representative of all of them? If you just say the majority vote, it would just be the few states that have got the most amount of people in it. So all the smaller states, like Ohio, I think, and Pennsylvania and Connecticut, I think, those sort of ones.
Fair. I don't really think that it's that much to do with the size of America. Because, like, look at Canada. Canada's massive. It's doing pretty well.
If I haven't got anywhere near as many people, and it's got like, I think Canada's got very little. I'm going to look up quickly because America. Like for comparison,
America is absolutely insane, but
America's 330 million. Britain, like England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales is 60 million, but London is 8 million.
Yeah.
So London would take like a large amount of that. So population of
then
Canada.
who knows? Maybe in few decades we're gonna have like 51 new countries instead of one United States.
Maybe that'd be very
Independent
interesting.
Texas, that would be fun to be around.
I think they all have too much independent American pride. They all want to take credit for all the great things America's done. Every state is like, we're the state that did this. It's like, well, you're the state that the guy who invented it lived there, but he created it here. Maybe he moved to that state and then did something there and then this state. And so all attached to each other.
They all have
They
a
all have
lot of
Columbus Day.
national pride.
They do, but they
And
love about being
it's sort
American.
of misguided because
Yeah.
being proud of where you're from or about your country doesn't mean that you don't notice the bad things that happened or
Yeah, exactly.
bad things your people
Doesn't mean
did.
being ignorant of
It's
it.
ridiculous.
100%. Yeah, I agree. It's well, just for reference, Canada. Okay, so here's the thing. Right, Britain's 60 million, and it's like a size of like one
Canada's
state in America. Canada has 36 million people.
Yeah.
So that is like almost a tenth of the amount of people
36.
in 36 million in 2016. It's probably maybe about 40 million by now in 2018, but it hasn't got it on there because they do the census. But like Australia is the size.
Usually like around like 38 or something like that.
I'll check in one sec. Australia is the same size as America, like, and it's actually only got 24 million people. That is
You
that is
cannot leave there.
a third of the people who live in Australia live in England. Sorry, a third of the people who live in England live in Australia, which is the size of America. Iceland, 330,000 people in Iceland. Iceland is the size of England and Wales, and there's the same amount of people as 1.5 times more than Southampton. London has 24 times 24 times more people in it than the whole of Iceland. Iceland is amazing. A good old time over there.
Yeah, so you liked your holidays then.
I love going there. It was great. Some amazing waterfalls. We saw some geysers. That was absolutely fantastic. Saw the tectonic plates that kind of made the island. That was fantastic. There's mountains everywhere. It's beautiful. Went whale watching. Didn't see any whales, but we saw some dolphins. That was pretty brilliant. It's quite cool. And
A few of my friends went to Iceland, and everybody says it's absolutely amazing.
one of the best things about it is you get all these people from all these different cultures that all speak different languages, but all their second language is English. So you have people who are like French and German speaking about an Italian food menu in English because they all speak different.
Everybody speaks English.
Well, that's what in Iceland it's like you go to France and mostly people speak French. You go to Germany, most people speak German. You go to Iceland, if you go to certain, if you go to the more,
you go to Germany, most people speak German and most people speak English as well.
yeah, a lot of people speak English as well. But when you're walking around the city, it's not the majority language being English, because
So that's what you mean. That's even walking on streets, just randomly, the language you hear on the street is English.
yeah, because you have people
Okay.
who are French, whose second language is English, but nothing's in French in Iceland, except there's certain menus that if in really fancy places, they've got loads of pages of different menus of different languages, but basically it's got English and Icelandic, that's it. So if you want to understand anything, you just have to know English. So I think what a lot of people do is they go over there, and like if you went over there, you would not be speaking Polish to anyone really, unless you went with someone who's also Polish. You wouldn't be reading Polish anywhere. So you just read everything in British. So a lot of people would find it quite easy to kind of switch and just always just this. I'm going to be speaking, thinking, doing everything British while I'm here. You know, especially if you're with people who are that language as well, or with them, and everyone you talk to, the only way you communicate, unless you recognise their accent, you can tell where they're
That's
from.
how I go everywhere. If I go anywhere abroad, my go-to language is English because people tend to speak English. Somebody around will usually speak English.
Yeah, but obviously,
Even like in Italy, even if, like I remember I was in a shop and the lady that I was working that didn't understand a word I was saying, but somebody in the queue behind me spoke perfect English, so he just translated.
yeah. Well, with that, for example, in Iceland, it's like everyone knows the English. That's what I'm saying is the strange thing about it, and all the signs is in English. Like when you go to France, a lot of people speak English, and there's a few signs that are in English that are just like major landmarks, but pretty much all the road name, like every direction, everything, it just says it in French. In Iceland, it says it in Icelandic and English.
Oh, that's weird.
Not every single,
Maybe that's
like the majority.
maybe they have like loads of immigrants,
Well, they
so
have.
they just switched by now.
Tourism is a
Okay.
huge thing. All the museums over there are in British and Icelandic. Obviously, every single one there. Obviously, there's a few big French museums that are, but you got to think. You walk down the main strip of like Reykjavik, and it's quite big, but it's not. It's not like London or like Paris or anything like that. But Reykjavik is bigger than Paris. It's like every single building is a completely. They had like 500 different architects make the city for what we heard in this museum place, and it was like every building looks different. You have a complex of like 5 buildings of all flat blocks in a circle, but they're all slightly different shapes and sizes, but they're all the same style. Every single,
Alright.
but those 5 look nothing like the next 30 buildings. Every single one looks different. Every building. It's really weird,
That's
but
interesting.
it's really cool. Just that
They
there's.
also love Prince Pola.
They love
the
what-
Polish candy bar. That's
Was that the licorice one?
No.
Oh,
It's like thin wafers, a coca mass, and covered in dark chocolate.
Oh, nice.
It's just like classic candy bar, but it's apparently extremely popular in Iceland.
Yeah, they've got quite a few English sort of sweets there as well. They got like M&Ms and dime bars, like the European one. They haven't got Milka from what I recall. They did in the airport, but not actually.
Milka
Iceland.
is massive in Poland. It's everywhere.
Well, yeah, it's quite a big European thing. But obviously,
But we don't have Galaxy, and Galaxy I think is one of the best.
yeah, Galaxy's amazing. I fucking love Galaxy. So in Poland then, out of interest, let's loop back to that. Let's keep on going. What obviously you wanted to move and send money back to your parents and stuff like that. What made you choose Britain? Was it because you already spoke Britain as a second language, or?
Well, yeah, if I would try to move somewhere else, I would have to speak the language, to be honest. Like, to get a job, you need to speak the language. Or at least to get a good job, and I didn't really want to do physical labor because that would probably kill me. So I moved somewhere I spoke the language, and also my mom's sort of friends, like they're not perfectly close, but she was living here already with her fiance, and he's working for Deliveroo, so they were like, if you struggle to find a job, you can work in Deliveroo. So I had like this cushion that if something goes wrong, I can always just ask them for help. Yeah. So that's why Southampton, basically. And they also told me not to go to London. Like they told me to go to towns near sea, even if not Southampton.
So who told you this? Sorry.
My mom's friends.
Okay. Yeah.
Because London is extremely expensive. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
used to live in London, and the wages are the same, but everything in supermarkets and rent and everything going out, everything is way more
I
expensive.
think it's 2.5 times more expensive on average.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's absolutely
That's
preposterous.
why.
It will
And the
cost.
thing is, a lot of people just tend to go to London. Like all of my friends, everybody that was talking about going to England, everybody said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to London," because sort of people imagine it's massive, so there's like more opportunities, but it's not really.
It's
People really struggle over there.
proportionate. There's more opportunities. There's more people going for opportunities. So it's like,
Yeah.
whereas here, like Southampton's quite a big. It's like at the middle ground. It's not like a small town or anything like that. It's a pretty huge city. There's a lot going on, but
Also, there's a
it
lot going
dissipates a
on,
lot
but
from the
it's
centre.
not a huge city,
it's not
really.
like London. It's a lot of area and a lot of people, and there's always a little bit of stuff. There's always a few restaurants. There's always a few shops. There's every few areas. There's certain areas which like
Yeah,
there's
every
always
district has a high street.
yeah. There's always like Woolston, Weston, Sholing, Bitton. All the in town. There's like all the sub parts of town.
I
Like
thought that
Millbrook.
that's how all British cities look like. There is always a district and a high street with fast food
Shops.
joints and shops.
Yeah, it's
and
just,
a lot of pubs.
yeah.
Always pubs.
But the pubs are going. The pubs are disappearing. They're
That's
coming
so
down.
good.
Look, so when you with Poland, like when you move here and obviously you like it here, that's why you're staying. What about England is it that you prefer than Poland? Is it what was your working
You know,
life
I
like as
sort
well
of
back in
like-
Poland?
I feel a little like I fit better here somehow.
Right.
And I know it's really weird to say because after all, like all my family is Polish. I was born in Poland, so I should probably feel most at home in Poland, but I don't. I sort of feel like people, when it comes to humor, people get me a bit more here.
Transracial. You're like a Polish person who's born an English
Yeah, I
person.
don't know, maybe I was dropped.
You drink tea.
But without milk. You cannot convince me to that. It's never going to be
That's
tasty.
your British witchcraft. With like a
I
quarter
was
spoonful.
dropped as a baby, maybe.
Quarter spoonful of sugar. That's the thing that makes it weird. A lot of people like tea without milk, but not bloody quarter teaspoon of sugar.
teaspoon.
You get people
Because
who
half a teaspoon is too much. It
You
gets
get-
too sweet.
you get people who are tea purists who say no sugar, and then you get people who are just tea people who like sweet things. They go 1 sugar, sometimes 2. That's it. You don't get quarter. It's like you what? Half
Water
is
the
too
perfect
strong.
amount,
Why?
because
You need to
if
be
you
more sweets.
brew tea bit too strong, it gets a slightly bit bitter. And so 1/4 of a teaspoon of sugar is just enough to break that bitterness.
Ah.
That's it. If I get more, it starts just being way too sweet.
I drink coffee, and I love vanilla lattes and caramel macchiatos and anything like really sweet. I
hate
love
coffee.
them. I love it. But I'm not a big fan of tea. I'll drink it if I have to, but I don't drink it ever because there's never a time
No,
people
it's
have
the
coffee.
best.
If someone has coffee, they've pretty much always got tea. It's just like you pretty much you always got one of them. You know what I mean? Like in people's houses. But we've obviously got both because there's people like Josh and Nikki. They like tea. Josh drinks decaf tea. Nikki drinks standard PG tips. That's what you got. I think that's what you've got in your mug there. And I've got. I don't really drink coffee here very often at all. But I've got like this something gold coffee. It's not Nestle. It's something else.
I get through a lot of cups of tea a day, no matter where I am.
Really? How much tea do you have a day?
Really, you want me to count how many cups of tea I have throughout the day?
Well, if there's that many, Jesus.
I don't know. I can have like up to like maybe 5 cups at work, something like that. Maybe more during winter because it's also keeping me warm. I don't know, like 10 cups of tea a day probably.
You have 10 cups of tea a day.
But yeah, like on like a good tea day, I would say.
Jesus, that's madness.
I do drink a lot of tea at work. I drink mainly tea at work.
I have 1 coffee a day. And that's only when I'm at work. I will very, very rarely, like since working at Portmore, which I've been there for 6 months, I think I've had 3 times where I've had a second coffee in the day. That's it. When I get home, I never ever have coffee. On the weekend, on a Saturday like I did today, often if I go to like the shop or something, if I stay up late, like on where we had the bank holiday on the Friday and we've got one coming on the Monday, Thursday night I went over to my mate Carla's house, and I crashed there. I went to bed at like 2-ish. She had a new kitten. It was adorable. And woke up at like 7 because the cat woke me up, so I had 5 hours sleep. And I left hers, and I was like, I'm going to go to fucking Tesco's like early, get my food shopping done. Got myself a lush, really sweet vanilla latte coffee. Drinking it in my car with a lamb samosa, an onion bhaji, and a 1 square of prawn toast that I got from the deli counter. I was like,
that's what I don't get. Like, if you're drinking something savory, like onion bhaji and spicy Indian food,
yeah,
how can you overdrink that with something really, really, really sweet?
I love it. I love drinking
I
sweet
just
stuff.
get it.
Sweet and
It's like-
spicy is great. You drink that milkshake while you're having a curry. It's good.
Yeah, that's sort of a thing. It feels really American to me, or like eating McDonald's over drinking with a chocolate milkshake. Like,
I love it. Yeah.
no, I understand eating the fast food and then a few minutes later having a milkshake sort of dessert, but mixing those two together, how can you not feel sick?
It's great. The best thing is when you have sweet and savoury, like if you have syrup, like bacon with maple syrup pancakes is like so good. I like having it with sausages sometimes as well, like really sweet. You get certain fries that have been fried with like sugar, like deep fried in sugar, like fries sort of thing. Like you can get.
I've heard about putting
sweet potato fries, one's sprinkled
like
sugar on it.
potatoes into sugared water before to kind of caramelize it a bit easier in oil.
Yeah.
But for them to be fried in sugar,
Yeah, that's a whole other
so what
story.
do you mean?
That's
Like literally potatoes dipped, like having
not like a whole potato.
sugar
like,
crust.
Like the way they make chips, like in the deep fat fryers and sort of stuff. You can have like sugary stuff in it, or they bring it out and then they season it with loads of sugar, and so it's like deep fried. And as soon as it comes out, you sprinkle sugar over it, so it kind of goes in with it. You get that with sweet potato
Right.
fries sometimes, but you often get it with salt as well. It depends where you go. I think I tell way they do it. I can't
Oh God,
remember.
I've heard that in Scotland you can get a deep fried kebab.
Oh wow! Like a whole kebab.
I mean, like a kebab, like with everything, with meat and cabbage and all salad sauces, everything wrapped around, put into butter, and then deep fried.
Wow, that'd be
Like,
amazing.
why would you do that?
Because you want to die early.
Like, sort of, even
you want to
if
die
you
young.
even if you want to sort of kebab deep fried, just get the bun and the meat and just deep fry that. Why put cabbage into that?
Oh, yeah.
Why would
And
anybody
lettuce
put
and anything
themselves
like
for deep fried cabbage?
Yeah, that'd be horrendous. It's like all the salads. Like, why do you want deep fried cucumber or tomato? It's like, what?
Ridiculous.
No, it's just like that's what I wouldn't have the salad personally deep fried. So fuck that.
Yeah.
You know, if you had it deep fried and then on top of the deep fry you had it in another bun with like double, and then had that with a bit of like dripping sauce with a few bits of lettuce on it.
I
I'd
would
eat
still be
that.
against deep fried vegetables and sauces.
I wouldn't have the vegetables. I'd have the
That's
sauces
just
be on top.
Weird.
I'd have the meat. I'd just basically have loads of chicken meat, just loads sliced, all in like this nice fluffy kebab and dipped.
Yeah, I would go for beef probably.
I'm a chicken boy. But
But to be honest, I would like to try a deep fry Mars bar. I mean,
Oh,
it sort of
I've had one
sounds
before.
disgusting, but as it could be delicious.
I had it about 2 years ago for the only time I've ever had it, and I think I blame the place that I had it because it wasn't very crispy, and I wanted it to
Oh,
be
no,
crispy
no.
and then
It
gooey.
has to be crispy.
Yeah, and it wasn't that crispy. It was kind of like crumbly batter.
Also, deep fried ice cream.
I've had that. It's fucking amazing. I had it at a Thai place in Tenerife. It is so good. It's like battered. It's battered, and basically the inside is still quite cold. So you scoop it, and it still retains its shape, and it's almost biscuity almost in a way, deep fried. And they show you they do it. I've seen it on like a thing. They get ice cream. It's really cold. Their hands obviously cold. They've cold water wash their hands. Stuff like they get the ice cream out, and then they get the batter, and they just put it in there and wrap it around. Oops, hit the mic, getting too excited. They grab it, wrap it round like in a ball, wrap it in batter, just deep fry it straight away, and it comes out, and it's
insane.
you have it, and it's so good. They put like a syrup over it and stuff like that.
Okay,
So
so
lush
there
to
is
that.
this Czech stuff pie. Like a cake thing. It's quite hard to explain. It's sort of this long tube, empty on the inside, and it's usually either in sugar or in cinnamon. And there is this place in Poland that does them. The cake is called strzelnik, something like that, and they put Nutella on top inside it, like they smear the inside Nutella, put whipped cream and ice cream on top, and like bits of Oreo and stuff, and it's the most delicious thing ever.
That sounds so good.
In this sort of
What's
like
that called, sorry?
fluffy, cakey cone. Trdelnik?
And who makes that, sorry?
It's originally Czech, and the best one you can get, just go to Prague, and they're absolutely delicious.
Yes.
But the one that I got was from Krakow. There was like a food strike thing going on.
So yeah, with Poland is I've heard quite a few people mention Krakow. Is Krakow like either a capital city or one of the main cities there or anything?
Krakow was a capital city for centuries, but now it's Warsaw.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of
but
Warsaw before actually.
Krakow is quite special because it wasn't bombed during the war, so the old city center is really, really big.
Right.
And there's quite a lot of tourist attractions. I mean, at the moment, they're sort of trying to keep Krakow as being really like Asian magical traditional city. And people don't really want that. People want that plus really fun, cool stuff to do.
Yeah. The world's changing a bit more now. It's coming up.
Exactly, and there's a lot of escape rooms and like laser parks.
There's escape rooms in Iceland and Reykjavik.
No, there's escape rooms in Southampton.
I've been to one.
I want to go, but I don't know which one to choose.
I've been to one. I've heard mixed things about all of them. Like there's a couple that I've heard people go, yeah, this is amazing. Then I've heard people go, no, it's not that great. It's like I think it depends on the person,
Because
what you're looking for.
The best one I've ever been to was in Belgrade.
I've only been to the one in town.
I did loads of them in Poland.
Oh really?
Yeah, and some of them are like they look really, really bad, but the actual puzzles you have to solve are really entertaining.
Yeah.
And there's the ones that really put on like a nice show for everybody. But the puzzles are quite like, not really that exciting. But the one in Belgrade looked absolutely amazing. It was like a World War II office, and you had to solve all the clues to find the machine and disarm the bomb.
Right.
And it really, really got you going.
Yeah.
And like it was even like secret doors opening and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
It was absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, I'd really recommend anyone to go to escape rooms because they are a lot of fun. And as you said, there are certain ones which are more about the puzzles and others which are more about the show. It depends what you're really going for, you know.
I don't know how it is in England, but most of them, the ones in Poland, have ratings of how complicated the escape room is.
I think you can basically go on TripAdvisor. I'm not sure. I haven't looked it up a huge amount. I've only done it a little bit, looked up of escape rooms. I'm not sure if there's a universal rating system that they have or anything like that.
No, I don't think it's a universal rating system, but every single place has their own, like, if you're a beginner, you should probably go and do that.
Yeah, I think they do have mentions of that sort of thing. Yeah, I think we did like a beginnerish sort of one when we went to our escape rooms.
For most of them, I think like 3 people is the kind of the least you can have.
Yeah. A lot of the time the recommended is like 4. I think we had 5 or 6. That's like quite a nice amount.
One time we were in, and it's one in Poland. When you need at least 7 people, you're separated into 2 groups, and one room is normal, like light room, and the other one is completely pitch black dark.
Okay.
So I was in the dark one, and basically what we had to do is look around on the walls and feel the shapes on them and tell the guys on the other side what they were. It was absolutely ridiculous.
That sounds great. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It was really, really great fun.
Yeah. Do you have any theme parks, like roller coasters, that sort of thing? Is that very popular in either Krakow or Poland?
Now we have one. It's called Energyland, I think. It's quite near Krakow. It's like 2 hours away from Krakow, I think.
Right.
And that's apparently quite big and quite cool. But I've never been there. And what is strangely popular, especially in Małopolska, so where the voivodeship where Krakow is. It's Dinosaur Parks.
Oh really? Yeah, we got a few of them. We got a few dinosaur
They're
parks.
absolutely everywhere, and I'm talking from like properly big ones and properly nicely made ones to like small, like the size of, I don't know, your house basically. Yeah. And there are a few like 3 figures of crappy tin dinosaurs, and like not really very nice.
Yeah.
But for some reason they're really everywhere.
Excuse me. We've got a few dinosaur parks. We normally do have a few dinosaur things around other parks, like in Polton Park. You got the dinosaur walk. I think there's a few other zoos I've been to. I think there's not Drusilla Zoo. There's a zoo in Weymouth I've been to. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. Might be called something park, but they had like a dinosaur walk bit. They had like
No, it's a
8 dinosaur things in it.
I need to go to the toilet.
You need to get the lavatory. We come up to the hour mark now, so we can stop this and then continue doing another chat afterwards. I've actually been dying to go for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
I'm just gonna go.
yeah, right now. Right, so I'm gonna pause the
I've
recording.
drank like 2 cups of tea.
I'll
Yeah, yours.
Yeah,
It's like 4. It's 4 already today.
yeah, that's right. Well, I'm gonna just pause this as well, just so I can grab another drink and stuff. So we'll probably be back in a bit, guys. And that's the end of part 1. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Part 2 will be released next week, and me and Justina basically just pick up the conversation where we left off. We were talking about dinosaur parks in Poland. We then go on to talk about Lego, politics. We talk about religion quite a bit in the next episode as well. We then also talk about immigration, tolerance, reality TV and being famous, social media, as well as accents, and we kind of finish off with sort of British and Polish food and talk about sourdough bread and that sort of thing. So it's similar to this one in a lot of ways. You know, it's just a continuation of the conversation, really. We just talk about some of the things that Justina thinks and link some of that back to Poland. As I said at the start, last week's episode was another science but simple one, where we talk about, me and my mate Josh, we talk about things, just scientific stuff in everyday life that we try and describe it in an easy to digest format. Josh is much smarter than I am and has a degree in marine biology, so it's more so him describing to me and hoping that I can understand it. And we spoke about misconceptions, GMOs, which is genetically modified organisms, cancer and cells and how that sort of works and why there's no cure-all for cancer, as well as Big Pharma. So that was last week's one. As I said, next week's one will be with Justina. The week after that, I think, will be with my mate Ryan, who's in a metal band or a hardcore band, or the subgenres escape me quite a lot of the time. He's in quite a heavy band, you know, and we'll talk about that as well. But obviously, if you listen to next week's episode with Justina, I'll talk about Ryan's episode after that, because I'm recording it tomorrow, I believe. I should be, you know, if he cancels and stuff, or we have to reschedule, then it'll be someone else. But we'll cross that bridge if we come to it. Anyway, I'm rambling now, and the audio's almost over. You're just waiting for that to finally finish, or you've already skipped it, in which case I'm talking to myself. But yeah, if you guys could follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, review us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, any of those things. If you can review on Podbean, which now I'm starting to think about it, and I think you can just subscribe. It doesn't matter. I'm tired. It's a Sunday. That's my excuse. I'm using it. So thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Follow us and like us on all the usual social media jazz. I also actually mentioned at the start, I've done a YouTube collaboration with my friend Steph. Steph the Crab. We did a podcast a little while ago. I think number 15 it was. It was a 2-parter. So be sure to listen to that. Check out on YouTube. It's a Would You Rather video where we just talk about stupid Would You Rather questions. I'll include that in the link below. Yeah. That's the end of that then. I'll see you guys next week. Well, I won't see most of you. I'll talk to you next week.